So what's going on, folks? Let me see if I got this set up. Yep, we're working correctly here. How's it going, folks? It is Friday. Welcome to the stream. Um, you may notice, if you look, you may see a little different background versus what I've been doing for the last week and a half. That is because, yes, I am home for Thanksgiving, briefly. I'm going back to LA tomorrow. But, so yeah, I finally get to do a broadcast from home for a change, which is nice. You also may notice that the picture here is in black and white. Now, I could be cool and try and say that I'm just being artistic. I'm being like, old school Woody Allen, right? Just doing the black and white thing. But no, in reality, when I came back to home here, I did not bring my webcam with me. I left it there. So I had to dig out an ancient old one. And yeah, this one this one's garbage. It was maybe pretty good about a gajillion years ago, but now check this out. So here, I'm gonna bring this over real quick. See if I can go to my editor. So the reason I dropped it black and white is because if you check this out here, I'll turn the saturation back on. This is what it looks like by default. You ready? There we go. Yeah, that's a nice shade of blue, isn't it? And yeah, I saw that and it's kind of like, okay, there's no amount of color balancing that's going to come close to fixing that. And it's such an old piece of garbage webcam that there's really no other kind of specialized settings. So my solution was to go like this. -1. Boom. There we go. Now I'm back in the land of black and white. I'm Dorothy before she gets to Oz, I guess. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, it's working. I'm here. So what's going on, folks? Nice Friday night. I'm gonna try and put in a little time here. Probably not too much, just because I do need to pack up so I can get ready to fly back to LA for a couple more weeks worth of freelance work, and then still working on the game. Which I will finish. I will finish one of these days. Actually, in fairness, bust on my old to-do list here, and my actual to-do items are truly shrinking. So, I mean, basically, this is actually no. Actually, I think I can bump that out because that's like a silly thing. Anyway, so let me toss them down there. So this make chosen mascot show up at the start and end of online game, which if you guys watched before, you'll see that that's what I started to implement. So that was going okay. Let me check this out real quick. Is that flowing? Yeah, looks like we're good. Okay. So yeah, I was making some good headway on that finally. The last broadcast I did, which I guess was on Monday, and I started to actually get some of that integrated, and the code was actually coming together for that. So I don't think it's totally done. I think I still need to do a little more work on a multiplayer kind of thing. I guess I could play with that tonight. I could either try and do that or start getting some of the other mascot villagers plugged in. So when you select the different ones, you get that. But I don't know. That might be this one might be an easier target of just trying to make sure that the right one gets selected. So I may do that tonight. Yeah, I got the Google Play stuff. I had that in there originally. So when I'm just focusing on Android to begin with, and I'll do the iOS side. Excuse me. I'll do the iOS side after that. I got to get the Apple stuff done. But just in my initial development, since I'm working off of a PC, I've been using Google Play and Android. And I had it dialed in. I had it plugged in, but then I had some other software that went goofy. Oh, I had the dreaded Dex issue on Android. That was kind of a bit of a nightmare trying to get that dealt with. Once you start seeing Dex errors, then it's just kind of like, oh man. So then I just, rather than trying to like piecemeal it and try and just pull things out, I just knocked out pretty much everything. I stripped everything out and I started putting stuff back in, and I got it just about where it was before, and I can still do the build correctly, but for whatever reason, the plugin I was using to handle the Google Play stuff is now throwing errors, which is always fun. And they're cryptic errors, so it's not something that's simple to fix. So I still need to actually address that. I won't try and tackle that tonight. Set up random unlock cards to unlock the villagers. There you go. So as I've been showing for ages now, or at least for weeks, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks. So let me throw this out of the way here. There you go. Let me shrink that down, get that out of the way. Wait for this to start. Oh, and you may notice I actually got some music playing. I have some what I'm told is Twitch-friendly music playing in the background, so hopefully I will not get flagged again, because I've had a bunch of my previous videos flagged and just the audio muted. Twitch at least just sort of like kills the audio. YouTube just kind of outright rejects them, which is kind of nasty. But yeah, I will. So hopefully now what you hear in the background is permissible. We'll see in time, I guess, if this actually goes through okay. But supposedly this is like, you know, Twitch specific, so you know, Twitch streaming friendly. All right, just cleaning up some stuff here. Let me tuck that away. There we go. All right. So as I was saying on my to-do list, the unlock cards. So I'm not sure if I have this one set up as unlocked. Oh, these are already unlocked. How about the launchers? Nope, I have those guys unlocked too. Okay. Well, when you start playing the game, of course, you start off with all these characters initially locked, and you have to unlock them over time. And the way that happens is you just play random games, and then you get these unlocked cards. And once you get enough, then the character unlocks, and you can recruit him with some coins, and boom, part of your team. So I don't have that set up. I still got to work out the math and percentages on how often, because you can get cards for 3 different things. You can get cards for the icons, which is the stuff I was working on before. You can get the cards that unlock the villagers, and also cards that unlock launchers. So I need to go ahead and implement that, but I don't think I'm going to tackle that tonight, because that's going to be a lot more involved. So I'm not going to try and jump on that tonight. But let me see what else I have on there. Going back to my to-do list, the setup icons and selections and purchases. There you go. So that's what I was looking at a second ago. That's what I've been working on for a while, doing those character poses, if you remember. And I need to implement that. And actually, I was going through my collection of stuff that I have in Unity. You know, I mean, after a decade worth of using Unity, I've collected quite a few assets, and it's kind of stupid because sometimes I'll forget I have certain things. And Unity's doing one of their big Black Friday sales stuff. So Unity's doing the same thing. They have a bunch of different plugins and stuff on sale. So of course I went hunting, and of course I went buying. I bought a couple of items, but and then I started to click on some stuff that I already actually had in my library. You know, and that's kind of terrible. But I mean, you go through there, and I mean, I literally have a few hundred items. So I mean, I found a couple of good things, and one of them was actually these pre-made like badge and icon things. So I'm actually going to come back and look at that for this area for the icons. Let's see. You know what? I could probably bring it up right now. Let me see if I can find it here. If it wants to load. I'm doing this through my old Unity 5.6. So let's see if it behaves. Let's see. I'm here, and no, I don't want my list. I just want my products. Nope, it's gonna be obnoxious about it. So let me see if I. How do I? Oh, wait. My assets. There it is. Okay. Yeah, this window is different in the actual editor than it is in a standard, just in a standard web browser. Oh, wow. Look at that stutter step. Let me stop the program if I can. See if that makes it behave a little bit better. All right. So, I don't know. Was it shield? Let me try that. There it goes, Mega Shields. Check this out. So, yeah, I totally forgot I even had this asset, but this one's pretty nice. Yeah, I like these shapes. So, there's a bunch to choose from. And my hope is, I haven't dug through it yet, my hope is that they have sort of like a generic one without the little icons in the center. So, I can actually just put my characters on top instead. because I mentioned before that I wasn't sure what the backdrop was going to be. So you have like these. That's cool. That's obviously that's better for sci-fi. It doesn't help me out, but there's a nice little gray shade one. A little plain, but still pretty cool. There's your Game of Thrones-esque shields right there, I guess. We got that. We got oh, these are kind of cool. Obviously, I think this is better shields for like if you're doing more of a slightly casual game, but you know, actually not terrible a thing. I mean, if I do different shields for the different islands, you know, and I mean, this is, since this one is the Middle Ages theme, that might actually play well. But once again, I got to find out. Hopefully, there's one that actually doesn't have the icons on it. If not, I'll have to go into Photoshop and actually clean that up and make that playable. But that might be a kind of cool one. What else we got in here? Yeah, also nice. Coloring is a little flat, a little realistic and flat, but still kind of interesting. And then this was actually kind of cool too. This one has more of the toon shade, so it might be a good candidate. A little dark, but I might be able to play with that in Photoshop as well. And we still got more. Look at this. This is a ton of them. These are kind of cool, but that looks like much more of I don't know, much more of a fantasy kind of thing. So probably not a good choice for what I'm going to play with, but let's see. That's pretty cool. Actually, that's kind of nutty. With the vines going off the side, that might be a little overkill, but still pretty cool. Wow, it looks like a brooch. Moving on. Yeah, embroidered kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. Little sands in there. Not really relevant to mine, but still kind of cool. And then finally, this one. Oh, this is sort of like Lord of the Game of Thrones Part 2. So, yeah. But actually, this one might be a good winner for me. I'll have to come back and revisit this once I actually finish all those poses that I've been working on for a while. But and then maybe lighten it up a little bit. But definitely some potential there. Anyways, it is terrible that I have like literally hundreds of these plugins and I do lose track of them sometimes. I think part of it was because I had the Unity Pro membership and then they were throwing you free plugins every month. So I would grab them and download them, but not always take a look at them and just sometimes forget they're there. But that's actually pretty slick. So keep a mental note on that one. You might be seeing that in the near future. But yep. All right, let me switch this around. Let me just make sure that's going cool. Okay, cool. All right. So what do you say we just jump into this? What I might do is just do a build. Oops. Let me go build settings, and I'm in PC mode. Even though I'm going to do Android, but just for testing, I'll leave it in PC mode. I'm going to do a little build, and actually, I'm just going to throw it on my desktop because I'm still working off my my USB thumb drive because once again I fly back to LA tomorrow. So, but I don't want to do a build on there, so I'm just going to do it on here. And let's just call it Volley Village PC and make that executable. I could have thrown under folder. You know, it would have been smarter to make a folder on the desktop, make it a little cleaner, but I could do it later. But what I want to do is actually set it up so I can have two players right here that they're playing online. And oh, so then fair warning once again. Like I said, I am back home, which means I am using my same stupid computer, which has demonstrated a fine skill at locking up. So fingers crossed that we can actually make it a whole broadcast without it going nutty. I was talking to my new friend there at Blue Screen Gaming, David, who was giving me some input on what he thought the culprit might have been. As I mentioned before, I've checked memory, hard drive. I think the video card is fine. And he was thinking that the culprit might be the power supply, even though it's a 750 and it's a what is it, Thermaltake or something like that. So I mean, it's not like it's an off-brand. But having said that, he thinks that might be a culprit, and he may be right. But I haven't had a chance to go out since I've only been back for a day, and then I'm heading right back out. But I am going to try and actually do a replacement on that. But I may finally break down and actually upgrade. It may be time anyways. Might be the excuse I need to finally break down and upgrade. But yeah, so fingers crossed that I can make this entire broadcast without it dying. I've tried to knock down some of the bells and whistles I normally have. I'm trying to do fewer things on the screen. So maybe if it is in fact the power supply that's causing it, then maybe that'll do it. So this I didn't think about. I'm stalling. I'm stalling and doing a terrible job at it. But you can see my my cursor's nowhere to be found, and you can see the build is still cooking. There it goes. Because I was working off the USB. So even though I'm doing the build to my desktop, it's still doing the temp files, I think, on the USB, which is about 4 shades of stupid. But yeah, it's done now. So hopefully just this one attempt of doing all these caching, these temp folders, means that next go around it'll be a little bit peppier, because this is painful right here. But come on, any day now. I can't click on anything. I'm just waiting, but could be worse. Could be locked up. So we haven't got to that point yet. But yeah, so I got the nice video card, and I don't think he's the culprit. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, if it is the power supply, that would be kind of frustrating, because I don't think it, like I said, it's a 750, and it's not that old. I mean, I haven't had it for that long, so it doesn't seem like it should be the culprit. But I mean, I don't know what other candidate. I mean, motherboard? I don't know. I mean, it's not a consistent thing that triggers it. Sometimes it's been switching between apps, using a 3D app. So at first I was thinking maybe it was the card, but then I had another one where it's just saving a file. You know, I mean, there's nothing happened with a video card on that, and it's still locked up. I actually broke my save file. That I was not a happy camper on that one. So it's kind of strange. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a consistent cause, which is just absolutely infuriating. But you know, we'll figure it out. Man, all right. So the build on the memory stick was not the smart move. Packing. Yeah. But no, I would love to actually finally pull the trigger. Nothing else. I want to get away from the hard drives and move over to SSDs finally. I know I'm behind. Once again, my buddy David was mentioning the M.2s, which is something to consider. But I may be just kind of cheaper, because I probably will build my own machine, and if I do that, I'm more likely to try and go cheaper in some areas. And the M.2s are just stupid fast. I mean, compared to hard drives, it's just not even a comparison. But I mean, even to the SSDs, you can see they're multiple speeds, but they're also double the price right now. I mean, which I guess in a long-term investment is still pretty good, but I'm not sure if I can actually justify that quite yet. Excuse me. Maybe if I get some more work lined up. I do have some irons in the fire, so we'll see what comes of that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be a little more frugal. And once again, I'm still stalling. I'm still stalling just because. Note to self: don't do builds on the thumb drive. Let's see. Do we still get the music? Yeah, the music's still playing. Okay, good. So nothing's broken yet, as far as I can tell. That's good. But packaging assets. Let's see what else I can. I guess I can go back to my to-do list and kind of, since I got nothing else going here. So what else do I have to deal with? I just talked about the being able to set up the icons, which I can't quite do that yet until I finish the poses. I got a few more to go. I'm in the home stretch on that. Hey, it's making a little progress now. And as I was talking about before, the launchers, you can upgrade your launcher from the catapult. You can either get a Cyclops, a Kraken, or a Dragon. Hey, look at that. Finally. And then when you do that, you get rewarded bonus coins in matches. So I have to integrate that. That's actually not that big of an issue. That one should go pretty fast. But I don't know. We'll see. I may tackle that tonight. I may not. We'll just see. And then I had this is actually just a bug that I noticed before. If the player was quitting, then it would actually reward 25 coins too many, which I just got to track that down. I think it's just the side items is getting added twice. Yeah, good that nowadays the OS utilizes SSD and everything else hard drive. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, and it's funny because at first when I was talking to Dave and he started putting the bug in my ear about going to SSDs. I was thinking that it's like, oh, okay, cool. Then I'll just like, oh, should I go like a 2 terabyte SSD? But then so I started looking at some of the builds and builds that are designed for gaming devices. And it's interesting that these things, I mean, I'm looking at 1 or 2 terabyte, and these high-end gaming devices that they're charging upwards of $1,500 or more for are using like 256 gig SSDs. So I mean, I guess that's the trick. I think that's what they're doing is just like the OS goes on the SSD and everything else goes on the HD, which that's cool. But I guess, and if it's just data, I think maybe over time once the SSDs drop even further, then you can pull the trigger on a dedicated 1 terabyte and just migrate the hard drive over to the SSD and be good to go. Because I mean, it's not like it's the OS stuff, so it's not like all the explicit stuff, that's harder to transfer over. So in theory, like the registry and stuff like that. But yeah, in theory, that might be the way to go. So at least like initially, just to save a few bucks, start off with the SSD for the OS. I mean, like I said, the game machines that I saw were doing 256. They're so cheap now, relatively speaking. I think it was like $69 for a 500 gig SSD. So I mean that's good. That means you get the OS on there and don't have to worry about like getting tight with space. And then maybe like 1 or 2 terabyte peppy hard drive. Yeah, and it should be good to go. Because my drive, it's strange because my drive seems to have a lot of writing issues. I mean, it's like really noisy and it sounds like it's like going nuts. But I've looked at it a couple of times and it's saying, yeah, there's nothing to, it doesn't need to be defragged, no errors. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the nature of hard drives these days. But it always spooks me when you hear that drive just going, To me, that just doesn't sound like a good thing, So, anyways, I can stop talking because it actually did kick off. I may actually just throw this in a folder just to make this a little cleaner. So let me go, so you guys don't get stuck looking at all the crud of my, back in Vegas. Yes, there you go. Hey, welcome. Hey, yes, I am back in Vegas for a day. I have a flight at noon tomorrow to get me back to LA so I can go back for 2 more weeks worth of working on TV shows, which I can't talk about yet, but I will tell you in the future. But yeah, back at home. As I was mentioning before, I got the funky, I left my webcam in LA, my good one, so I had to dig out this old one that is just so cruddy. Here you go. I'll do this again because wait, let me change this real quick. PC build, and let me drag the stuff in there real quick. Let me do this by date. That should get it right. Data, drag it into there. There we go. There. So it's all nice and cleaned up. So yeah, but I gotta show you. This is so funny. So let me go to my filters. So yeah, I fired it up, and this webcam is so old that when I did it and it came with the default values, this is what it looks like by default. Boom. Yeah, like people are supposed to turn green when they're sick. If they turn blue, does that mean I just froze to death or something? I mean, yeah, it is a little colder in Vegas than it was in LA, but I mean, it ain't that cold here. So I saw that and I was just, you know what? Here, I'm just going to kill this. There. I'm going to just leave the saturation. Blue. Yeah. So there you go. I'm just gonna leave it in the stylized black and white. There you go. I'm being all artsy now, right? This is my cool artsy stuff. And of course, I dropped the green screen just for the time being. So you're back to, you can see my beautiful Space Ace poster, right, with the Don Bluth signature on there. So you can see that again. But yeah, and then I'm also not doing that because, as mentioned, because I am back on my turbulent PC that does like to lock up and crash. So I'm trying to give it fewer reasons. So I figure if I'm not doing real-time green screen color replacement, maybe it'll behave tonight. We'll see. I'm 30 minutes in, and knock on wood, it hasn't crashed and burned yet. We'll see if we can go another hour and a half before it decides to give up the ghost. But so far, so good. It may change once I start doing like multiple runnings of the game, but I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? All right. So what I want to do, and okay, so I'm gonna do a run version here, and then this hopefully won't crash and burn. Whoa. Whoop. Let me mute that like crazy. There he goes. Okay. So we got this guy going here, and you know what? Actually, he's a little big. I'm gonna, you know what? I guess it's okay if I just move this over like this. That might be okay. Boom, boom. Yeah, okay. So then what I want to find out is, if you remember on Monday, I did get it working. The intro is great. Oh, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just the music is all stuff that I've collected over the years. You know, I haven't done any custom music or anything like that, but you know, I do like that. Yeah, I like doing like little flashy, bouncy kind of stuff like that. You actually notice that in a lot of my games where I have like stuff kind of fly around like that. That's kind of common for me. So let me make sure. Okay, I got tons of coins there, and I got tons of coins on him. So that should be okay. So then let's go ahead and do an online, and then have to bring him up really quick. Let's go online, boom, and hopefully these guys find each other. Uh-oh. It didn't. Uh-oh. So he's just playing a bot right now. That's not good. Did I crash? Oh, that's what, okay, so that's what I was afraid of. Okay, so they did connect, but then this one aired out because I have been making so many changes recently to the structure of the save file, and this desktop version that I'm running right here is using like old data. So what I need to do is actually purge the data, and the only quick way to do that is to actually just add a line that purges values. Now I guess I could do another build, and we're going to find out. This is going to be the determining factor. If I could do a build and it takes as long as it did last time on the thumbstick, I may not try and do this tonight because that was just brutally painful, and you guys don't want to listen to me try and just make up stories while it's building. But hopefully that was a one-off. Hopefully it was just creating a bunch of cached temp files. But what I need to do is create a kill all stored values in my for that player. So that way it'll start as a new character. Oh, and I'll probably have to add some coins to him. But yeah, that is a scary thing about doing that. I don't know how the real game devs do that, right? I mean, how you create a new iteration of the game and it just slightly changes the game player save file, and it just absolutely breaks. I mean, it's like not backwards compatible at all. You know, I guess you work like crazy to make sure that you don't automatically assume any data is there. You just have to test like crazy. But yeah, unit test, yeah, and version control. Yeah, which my unit test division is right over. Oh wait, that's DVDs. Is right over. No, that's my magazines. Oh, you know what? My unit tests, they're right over by my version control, which are right over. Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah, so that's probably why it breaks. Because I really don't have a good system, and because all my programming is so evolutionary in style that I'm constantly tweaking and changing. So, that's it. Anyone that's behind me, I mean, I can't tolerate this. Anyone that's behind me, they're all fired. They're gone. Oh, there's no one there. Okay. I need to hire someone just so I can fire them. Okay, let me go back to, I think I have it under main menu. Let's see, go awake. There it is. All right, so what I'm going to do is I got the delete alls. And then, I'm going to have to do that once and then undo it. Oh, man. Okay. So, it's really worth looking into. Yeah, all right. All right, man. I'll be here. I hope you can make it back around, but thanks for stopping in. All right. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it locally. Uh-oh, there goes the editor. I'm going to lose that one, aren't I? I had the editor set up with the tons of coins, and that's about to go away because I was not paying attention. Maybe I stopped it in time. Probably not. All right, what I wanted to do was actually do a new build. All right, now this is the big question mark. Where's my view by details? Do by date. There it is. There. All right, so is this going to go fast? That's the new question here. It's going to go, and hopefully that was a minor tweak, so hopefully it's not going to spend an eternity creating all those temp files on that memory stick again. I know I could have actually taken the project off the memory stick back over to the PC, but the idea of that takes forever, but then getting it and actually moving it back to the thumb drive before I head out, I'm not saying that I would forget, but I would completely forget. And then I get back to LA, and then I would load it up and realize that I did not bring the changes, and then I start swearing at myself. So I think it's, yeah, and actually it looks like it's going a little bit faster. Actually much faster. So it's just smarter. It's not faster, but it's definitely smarter for me to actually still work off the USB memory stick, at least until I finish my work in LA and I come home here to Vegas and I stay here. But all right, so this is where it was actually chewing big time last time, but come on, dude, I like literally 2 lines. Come on, that was 2 lines worth of code that I changed. All right, so doing these builds may not be a viable thing since I am working off the USB stick, so I may have to play with something else. Crud, I was really hoping I could do that, but nope, it's just chewing. All right, let me go back to my to-do list. All right, that's what I was trying to get at, which I'm not going to be able to do. I'm not going to tackle Google Play stuff tonight. That's just, nah, that's way too much to go after. Check this real quick. Okay. Setup. Yeah, that's beefy too. I guess I could try and do that. Excuse me. I could do that as a check to see if you're using one of the powered up characters, then you get the bonus coins. That might be a viable thing to jump on tonight. Or I could go back to doing poses again. That's not a terrible idea either. That's also on the USB memory stick, but that doesn't take forever like this does. And I am on my good machine, so actually posing might be go a little faster too. All right, well that's chewing. Tell you what, why don't I just load this up and see where I left off. I think I was playing, doing poses for the wizard character. I still haven't come up with a solution for the ogre. If you remember, he has that terrible mouth. I was trying to come up with a simple solution since I'm doing the posing in Maya and then I'm exporting out the OBJ into Lightwave to do the renders. There it goes. That was a little faster. That's still kind of a time-consuming thing. So I don't think I'm going to try and pursue that tonight. But I still haven't come up with a decent solution because that's kind of an ugly thing I did with the modeling. The modeling is fine for the low poly, but as soon as I try and smooth it out and introduce a lot more polygons to it, that's when it just kind of fell apart. So actually, while that's going, I'll do my 32-bit. I think I may even have that loaded here. I can't remember if I actually, or maybe I might have looked at it on my laptop, so I may not have it loaded. All right, there's Maya. And there's my Lightwave. Can I see what the ogre looks like? Yeah. Okay, I'll load that up here. Boom. Boom. Let me, on my computer, I got on my USB stick. It is the source, scenes, characters, Middle Ages, and that is the ogre, and it is the icon poses export. Oh, whoa, I'm in Maya. Hold on. Sorry, I got too many 3D programs open right now. That's Modeler. There we go. This is the one I wanted to be in. Okay, let me try that again. And this goes VV source, scenes, characters, Middle Ages, ogre, to icon poses, export. There we go. Ooh. Let me change that, and then I gotta reconnect the texture. No, it actually has the texture fine, it looks like. Yeah. So then, oh, there we go. So if I take it out of sub D, and oh, let me get him smoothed. Boom, there. So, you know, like as a low poly character, you know, this works fine in a game environment, right? You know, but what I want to do is these rendered poses, and this is too low poly. So I do a subdivide surfaces, right, in Lightwave. That's just, you hit tab and it goes into sub D, and for the most part, most of this stuff looks fine, right? But you can see the mouth just goes to absolute pieces. I think actually this is me playing with it a bit too. I was working on my laptop before I came home, and I mean, like this I can live with, but I mean this part here, you know, and it may be one of those things that may be just faster to just go ahead and render it and just, you know, tweak it in Photoshop. You know, the amount of time it'll take to actually clean this up proper with a model, I think is time better served just maybe doing it as a Photoshop one-off. Which, you know what, actually I guess I could play with that right now. Why not? So I think I have a scene for him loaded up. So, alright. So now I'm really playing with fire, because if it is my power supply that's going wonky on me, and I got like all these programs open, I don't know, we may go boom, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. Okay, so now we're in Lightwave. Lightwave has two different programs, by the way, for those that don't know, because Lightwave is an insanely old program. I've been a Lightwave user for 20 years now, which is older than most of the people that actually get on stream. So it's an old program. But it's when they first created it, they created a modeling program and they created a layout program to do the rendering. And never the twain shall meet. 20 years later, they still haven't merged it. They kind of have a merge with the hub, but they're still separate programs, which is kind of an interesting concept. So I'm in Dwarfland. Let me move back over to my ogre character, and what did I do? Idle high res? No. Should be under scenes. Huh. Okay, I thought I had something set up. Okay, let me just pull it from one of my other characters then. I'll do like the female warrior. Icon poses, export. Just load up one of these poses, and then I will substitute. Yeah, so it's like if I turn on the real-time rendering there. There you go. So this is what I'm talking about. This is like a relatively low poly game character, but once I put it into Lightwave and I turn on subdivided surfaces, it automatically just smooths it out like crazy, which is a terrific thing. The only time is that if I've got too few polygons, then you see like that the mouth on the ogre kind of fall apart. But let me come back to this. All right, so let me save this first in the proper place. Ogre. That's weird. I don't even have an icon pose folder. Okay, I'm gonna do that right now then. Let me go new folder, icon poses. I hate when you do that. There we go. And we'll say this is pose A. There. So now I can replace her with the ogre. Icon poses. Wait. Oh, you know why? Okay, this is why. Oh. So I'm actually pulling this off of my network drive. Would you compare Lightwave to Blender? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Blender, I know, has a much wider range of tools. But, you know, for example, if you're familiar with Modo, Modo is a fine piece of software. But Modo, I looked up Lightwave and it looks impressive. Yeah, it is still an impressive piece of software. You know, well, here you go. Is a blatant plug. Let let me go over here to Amazon. So if you have Amazon Prime, I ask you politely to check out the 7/16. There you go. So this is a short film that a buddy of mine put together. At this point, oh geez, it started a few years back, but we actually finished it about a year and a half ago. And I was this is Andrew Bowen, who's a great actor, funny guy, and he actually put this project together, and I helped. Let me mute this. So, yeah, so the spaceship stuff you see in here, yeah, it'll come up here in just a second. I'll let that go away. Okay, there you go. So there, that spaceship shot right there, that's actually Lightwave. I did that about like a year and a half ago, like I said, Lightwave. So, yeah, Lightwave has been a fantastic tool for a million years, and I'm actually using an older version. I'm actually using version 2015, which, and then 2018 has just done wonders in terms of the rendering. So here you go. Here's more. This is more Lightwave, spaceship stuff. So it was, back in the day, it was the go-to tool in terms of just rendering all kinds of stuff, especially on television, right? For years and years, it was the go-to tool. But and they've finally got around to doing some updates, and the new rendering tools they have are pretty much on par with any other program that's out there, I think. And it's one of those things, once I get back into doing some proper rendering, I'm actually going to upgrade to 2018 myself. But for the time being, since I'm still just working in like these polygon models and I'm just using like toon shading, I can get away with still using an older version, you know. But looks like what they use for Star Trek and Battlestar. Yeah, I know for a fact it was used for Battlestar Galactica. I actually worked on Battlestar Galactica. I animated the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica Season 1 using Lightwave. So, yeah. In Season 2, we actually switched over to Maya. So the Cylons in Season 2 are actually Maya animated. But, yeah, all the spaceship stuff for a long time was all done in Lightwave. And Lightwave is notorious for not having really strong animation tools back then. And unfortunately, that's still true. So I still wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night sometimes thinking about how much of a pain it was to animate Cylons in Lightwave. that was not a totally fun experience, but you know, we got it done. I mean, you look back on it now, and you know, I see nothing but things I would love to fix. But at the time, it was actually, yeah, it was pretty cutting edge. I mean, we were doing near film quality stuff back before the tools were anywhere near ready to do film level. So, you know, yeah, I'm big fan of Lightwave. Have been since it came out, and yep, still use it, as you can see. So let me swap her out. There you go, Ogre. Yeah, Star Trek actually, technically, when they did like the reissue of the Star Trek movie, the place I was at, the place I'm working at next week, called Zoic Studios, they actually picked up some work, and in a special edition they added some more CG effects to it, and that was actually done in Lightwave. So unfortunately Zoic doesn't really use it too much anymore. Zoic has switched over pretty much exclusively to Maya, which, since I'm just doing animation these days, I'm happy to work in Maya, because my animation tools are by far the best as far as I'm concerned, at least for like off-the-shelf software. In terms of the best animation tools, I hear it's the stuff they use at Pixar, but that is not available to us mere mortals. So I'll just stick with Maya LT. Okay, I composes. Do I not have? Oh, interesting. Okay, I did have it. How did I not? Oh, because I'm still going off the wrong place. I gotta repoint this. That's why. I'm totally messing this up. View source, scenes, characters, Middle Ages. Composes, export. There we go. Okay. Yes, change that out. There we go. That doesn't look like the ogre. That looks like the wizard. Okay, let me make sure that I actually saved the wizard in the right place before I purge him. Scenes, characters, Middle Ages, wizard. Icon poses. Yes, okay, good. So I can actually switch him out. For the ogre, icon poses, export. There we go. Yeah. So now, so this is what I was talking about. It's better than it was when I first loaded it up, but I mean, it's still pretty ugly. I mean, you could see these ridges in the mouth like that. That's just crazy. But as I was saying, it may at this point it may be easier just to fix that in Photoshop and just get it done faster. Or maybe ogre has bad teeth like that. I don't know. Maybe I could just say, show me an ogre that doesn't have a weird looking mouth like that. Actually, that's not a terrible argument, I guess, but yeah, why not? Prove me wrong. You should compile a demo reel of your work, both past and present. I think it would be the best calling card. I have a past demo reel. Let's see. If you want to see, if you go to right here, I've posted this before, so anyone that's seen it before, I'm sorry this is redundant, but if you go to Dustin 3D, and that should get you, and I'm sorry this is dated. This is one from like over 2 years ago, I think. I think I typed that right, didn't I? Yeah. So there you can see stuff from The Flash, Falling Skies, Hemlock Grove, Terminator Sarah Chronicles, Once Upon a Time, Battlestar Galactica, Fringe, blah blah blah. So cool. And I have another one, but I haven't really posted it. But you know what? Maybe I just kind of like sneak it up here, because I did. I've sort of referenced it a couple of times that I worked at a place called Encore about 1.5 years ago, working on The Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow, and I haven't actually posted that one because that one I used the music. I was showing that at Comic-Con. I had like a looping reel on a screen that was playing there, but I had the music from the TV show, and I knew that if I put on YouTube, YouTube would just nuke it from orbit because I was using the Flash music. But excuse me, let me see if I have a desktop. Let's see. My desktop's unorganized here. Let me go details. Do I have it here or no? Where would I have it hidden? Thought it was actually on my desktop. I have a compilation of it. I just need to find out where I hid it. Maybe put it under Comic-Con. 18, 17. No, 16. Huh, that's terrible. I'm not sure where I stashed it. All right, you know what? I won't go digging for it. It may take a little while because I thought I had it. Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay, it was staring at me the whole time. It was just right there on the desktop. So let me mute the audio real fast here. So, and I pause this. So if you like the CW hero shows, then you may like some of this. And if you are behind, I'm sorry, there might be spoilers. No, there will be spoilers in here. I'm sorry, but here you go. So this is there you go, some Savitar stuff, and Iris getting killed. And this is the slow-mo shot that I was talking about a couple days ago. It was 8 seconds of slow-mo, and I went through so many versions on that. And I look at it now, and I already see 10 things I hate about it I would fix if I had time. But some Solivar and Grodd stuff from Gorilla City. Did that. And then this one I'm proud of because if you watch that sequence, that's the only shot that I'm aware of that actually kept the CG version of the Flash. The rest of them, they actually went back and shot the actor for that one. But mine, actually, they left my CG guy in there. So I was kind of happy with that. You see the Black Flash there. He's CG. Everything else is real, but that was a pain because he was like bouncing his hips around and I had to like keep adjusting to make it look like he was riding on top of him. But so yeah, the Black Flash here is totally CG. Oh, and then this was a pain because I had to like line up his hands to make it line up so the ice would be on top of it, and he was shaking his hands so furiously that it was like frame by frame. That was a nightmare. And then here's the big reveal. Some funny stories about that. The hands don't actually reach all the way down because he was kind of hunched over, but you know, that's there you go, some old Flash stuff. So and then this is Flash from season 1. This was like the Flash Arrow crossover from season 1. Actually, these are two different facilities I was working at. This is one called Zoic Studios, and then the other one was Encore. And then some Supergirl stuff. There you go. And I'll jump ahead. I'll just kind of scan through this. And then a bunch of Legends of Tomorrow. Adam. I had a lot of fun actually animating Adam. I got to do a few shots with him, and that was kind of fun. He does this bit where he's running through here. I did this whole series. This was kind of fun. It's episodic television, so the stuff you got to like bang through it really fast. You know, you got to like knock it out. Like, you know, it's not like feature film where you can just linger. I mean, you have to turn the shots around like ASAP. You know, but it's a challenge. You know, you try and make it still look good, but just get it done as fast as possible. This is one we did wrong originally. The ship was like going the wrong direction, so I had to come back and like tweak it again. But yeah, and here's Adam flying around again. Just doing his thing. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I guess animating Adam, I think I had more fun than a lot of the other stuff I was doing. Just because he's sort of like the Iron Man-esque kind of character. Iron Man meets Ant-Man mixed together. Yeah, I imagine the crunch time is ridiculous, and they're constantly asking you for more. Yeah, I'll talk about more here in a second. There's the big finale for Legends. There's one where you have the one character, Thorn, that goes off into the parallel universes and grabs copies of himself and brings them back. And originally it was supposed to be just like 4 or 5 behind him. But the longer we kept working on it, the more they said, no, put more guys back there. No, put more guys back there. So by the time it was done, there's just like tons of these guys, right? And these characters are so well built and so detailed that, here we go, it's coming up here in a second, that it just killed my scene. So it would literally take me like this shot right here. In Maya, it would take like 3 seconds just to switch between frames because all those characters are just so heavy. There you go. Spoilers. Sorry if you haven't seen the show, but it's a year and a half ago, so. And then, there you go. I threw in this is some Falling Skies stuff. My company's called Scary Robot, primarily because if you look at my demo reel, I animated a lot of scary robots over the years, which is why I call my company that. So it's sort of like a humorous joke. And then, there you go. Hemlock Grove. Animated these wolves. And this is one that I actually had to get done like a little over a week. And Terminators. There you go. More scary robots. So. And then Chinobog from Once Upon a Time. And then, there you go, more Cylons from BSG. That's the one where they climbed on the Galactica. That was season 2. So that one was that was done in Maya. And then there's a Fringe episode where they go into our mind, episode called LSD. And that was actually Spock there. So I got to animate Leonard Nimoy. And this is an Avatar combined with Foxbot. That was kind of fun. And then that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt getting run over in his mind from Premium Rush. And then a little Halo 3, some Halo 3 stuff. And then Powers was Sony's first and last TV show that they ever tried to do. Transformers, War for Cybertron. And this footage right here, the football game, was actually a commercial as directed by David Fincher. That was intimidating. That was freaky intimidating, having David Fincher like judging your work, because he started off in visual effects. So just having him tell you what's wrong and I would say wrong and right, but he would frequently tell you what's wrong and more wrong with your shot. That was some freaky stuff. So there you go. There's a sampling of, so you can see the older one that I put the link on there for, and then that's some of the newer stuff that I did at Encore last year. He must have been strict. Yeah, I'll tell you the funny story about him was he would watch it, right? And he'd look at it, and he would just kind of like study it. He'd watch it a few times, right? And then, he would look, and he'd just kind of go, okay, right? And then walk away, right? It wouldn't usually give notes at that point. It would come later. But as he's walking away, if you look over his shoulder and you go, thanks, that's when you knew you nailed it, man. If Mr. Fincher walked away and you heard thanks, then you turn to your buddies, you kind of go, yeah, But then you just walked away and then you kind of went, oh man, I'm screwed, But yeah, this was, this would have been what, 2004. So this is, he'd already done a ton of great movies, but he still had more to come. But yeah, very intimidating. But happy to have been there. Good times. Working like crazy back then. Younger, more willing to work the insane hours. Now I'm older and a little less likely to do that. All right. So there you go. There was a little quick preview. And then once the stuff I'm working on now comes out, I'll start showing that stuff as well. But unfortunately, I can't talk about that quite yet. Wow, he looks like his leg's completely missing there, doesn't it? That's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. Let's see if I double side the surface. That's a cheap fix, but that's actually a quick way to get that done. Ooh, that lip is just terrible. Okay. Nope, that does not look good. So let's play with this some more. Alright, is that music blaring to you guys? Is it? No, I guess it's dialed down. I'm just hearing it loud on my side, but hopefully that's not too much for you guys. Let me know if it is. Still, like I said, I'm trying to get music back in the stream without getting it censored. And this is supposed to be stream-friendly music, so fingers crossed. Let's see. I didn't know there was music until you said, yeah, it's like subliminal music. It's kind of like, what music? Oh, I hear it now. Did you just turn that on? No, been there the whole time. The proverbial elephant sitting in the room. Alright. Let me see if I can make this not ugly. Not liking it yet. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's just looking horrendous. Once again, fixable in Photoshop, but still more time than I'd wanted to develop. Nah. Yeah. Terrible pose. Let me see if I can come up with something. No. I'm going to keep playing here for a little while. See what my camera is. It's a 25. Maybe I'll go really wide angle lens. Maybe that'll make it more interesting. So I just changed to an 18, which is a really fisheye lens. But sometimes it makes it look a little more interesting. It's just so nice having real-time rendering like this. Once again, I'm doing the proverbial old man, when I was a kid, but it's true, man. A couple decades ago, you would just like hit F9 and you'd sit back and you'd like, or you like render little pieces of the screen and just try and guess, extrapolate that little piece across the rest of it and see, or you like do like a low poly render and blow it up and try and judge it. But it's just, CPUs and GPUs are so fast now that they can do this real-time stuff, and it's just so much easier to get good products so much faster, which is one reason why TV shows look as good as they do, because they can do this stuff insanely fast. Even like on Encore, man, we were turning around stuff in like a day that not that many years before would have been like, weeks, at least a week. All right, let me see. Maybe more profile. Yeah, that green is just kind of blending, isn't it? It looks like he's got a hand sticking out of his mouth. That's not going to fly. All right, we keep searching for good pose here. Hey, there we go. Okay. I think this is going to be our winner. I think what I might do is actually go back into Maya and bring that hand up into the frame up in here. But I think this might be... Yeah, and I got to fix that. Okay, I'm going to try and spin that around and hide that UV seam. But I'm going to save this. Boom, boom. Alright. Texture solid. There we go. And I'm going to jump back over here. And I'm going to load that scene up. Computer. Source. Scene. Oops. Scenes. Characters. Middle Ages. Ogre. Icon poses. Yeah, that should be the right one. There we go. Alright. Let me take another look at this so I can get a sense of that pose. Because as I mentioned before, I'm using my LT, and there is no camera in my LT since it's designed for game characters. So I have to guesstimate what it's going to look like. That's pretty close, but alright, what I want to do is actually grab this hammer. And is he not parented at all? Good. Okay, good, cool. Uh-oh. Oh, I got him all locked. Let me unlock him real quick. Oh, because I got his joint. I think actually he does have a hammer joint. There it is. And he's not constrained. Awesome. Good, good, good. So I can just turn this around and not have it flip out. Do it like that. Let me see. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to turn a bit further. Just thinking in mind, right now this is like completely like perpendicular to the camera. I want to go ahead and turn it a bit more like this. Once again, guessing, but I think that's going to be about right. All right. And then I said I want to get this hand. Ooh. I'm going to cheat it. Come behind his head like that. Let me get this shoulder up so I can buy myself a little more space. Ugh. I don't have my Logitech home with me. I left it in LA. My little game controller. I am so slow in Maya without it. I have to rethink the way I hit the buttons, but that's okay. So if it's like this. Boom. Okay. Let's just pretend that that's the perfect pose, shall we? Oops. Let me unlock his geo. Actually, let me add this. Add selected object. There we go. Alright. So now that these guys are there, and let's go export selection. Alright, now I did... Oh, you know the bad thing is I did tweak that. So I'm going to actually version this character up because this may change the mouth because I did bring him into Lightwave a couple of days ago and tweaked this OBJ. So let me see. Scenes. Characters. Middle Ages. And this is the ogre. And we're doing idle icon poses. Export. And I want to do OBJ. So pose A. And I'm going to version this up because this may be real ugly. Alright. Alright, so let me come back over in the layout, and I'm going to swap him out for the OBJ we just did. Ooh. Wow, that looks like a point, didn't... That's strange. Oh, okay, that's just the polygon. Okay, when I sub D that little gap is going to go away, so I'm going to ignore that for the time being. But let me fix up the surfacing, turn on smoothing, and then, yep, that's good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and file, save current object, and I will version this up in case I hate it. There you go. And then what we do is get rid of him. Don't save. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that's right. I didn't... That's funny because I forgot I didn't have these. Subdivided surfaces in Lightwave, at least in the older versions, have to be 4 points or 4-point polygons. But I could triple this. Yeah, and it's going to do it wrong anyways. But interesting. What I could do is actually maybe just leave this like it is. And just know that I'm going to fix that in Photoshop, because that actually is a cleaner looking mouth. That's not a terrible idea. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so I mean, all I have to do is fix that. And over here, but the mouth might look prettier. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? I think that's going to be the way we're going to go. I mean, it's technically wrong, but this is just a quick Photoshop fix, I think. If I just stretch out that edge there and then paint this away. Yeah. All right. I like it for the most part, but I think I went too nuts with the hand. I think it needs to be down lower. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, or at least I got to get the arm stuck out. Let me see if I can do that. Yep. All right. That's okay, but I want to get this shoulder. I'm going to cheat him out like crazy to try and get more geo in front of the camera here. All right, that's totally messed up. All right, I guess I can't do that because of the ear. There we go. So now it's not intersecting with the ear, so that's good. Okay. I think that's going to be a winner. All right. So I'm going to save this again. All right. And then export again. Now overwrite that version 2, since that's basically the same. All right. Place him with the OBJ. Once again, fix that up. And then we'll save that. Let me go back in Modeler and make sure he's unloaded so there's no conflict there. Because there's that hub program I told you about that connects the two programs together. When he's doing these little switches with the characters, this could get a little confusing for it. So I will not let that happen. So let me save that. There. Yeah, I know. Sub D that. There he goes. Boom. Alright. May tweak the camera position just to get a little more of that hand in there. I think we're close now. Let's see. Just want to get a little more of that hand, just like right on the edge. All right, I need to be closer. I'm trying to go back, but that's not good. Let's see. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I can live with that space there, I think. Yep. Alright, the helmet's a little off. Let me do my trick before I did before where I was double siding, see if that, yeah, that fixes that backside a little bit. The terrible thing I didn't think about till just now was, so let me save this because I'm actually liking this. I'm going to save that, switch this back out so I'm not taxing my system, hopefully. Okay. So, as I was talking about before, let's see if I still have it up. Yeah. So, I'm totally thinking about this as the backdrop, right? So you have like this character laid on top of that. But now I'm thinking about it. I'm doing this trick where I'm letting it cut the edges, right? And I may have to actually come back because that edge would look terrible, which means I may have to actually revise all of my poses and make sure that they don't break frame. Like, let me do this. In case I like that, I can come back to it. So I'm going to version up, do a new frame for the camera. But yeah, so now what I'm thinking is I may actually have to make sure that all the characters don't break the edges, which means I have to go back to all the... I should be able to just go back to the other poses and just pull the camera back a little bit, but I think that... So imagine this. All right, you know what? I'm going to do this for real. Forget the QuickTime rendering. I'll do an F9. And since we're in the future, this goes very, very fast. It doesn't... Ooh, is that going to fix? Tell me that mouth is going to fix itself. Oh, look at that. Wow. All right. Let's see if you can tell a difference between the proper render and the real-time render. Look at that. Wow. Oh, man. I was trying out the Bot Blast on your site, and I know you're going for mobile, but personally, if you redesign it for Windows, maybe Steam, and then with an interest in a future Switch release, it would actually be received well. Just an idea. You know what? I appreciate that. That's very cool. It's really... actually, thank you. But it's very likely that Bot Blast is going to be changing in the near future. I've been hinting at this intellectual property that I've gotten rights to, and I'm probably going to repurpose the Bot Blast to use in that universe. But if I do that, then if I go that route, then I would actually do that. I would actually shoot for PC first, and maybe even try and tackle my very first crowdsource using probably Indiegogo, because my business partner on this, he's more open to the idea of Indiegogo versus Kickstarter. So no, it's a great idea. Yeah, I mean I appreciate the kind words. And it's funny because the Bot Blast, as I mentioned before, I like doing prototypes before conventions. So Bot Blast is only about a week and a half or about 2 weeks worth of development. That was just a prototype that I threw together, and just to test the gameplay. And people really seem to enjoy it. So I think there's some great potential, but it may get recycled. I will be talking about that very soon. Can't quite talk about it just yet, but very soon. I'll give all the details on that. But yeah, thanks. And I don't know, Switch is kind of a funny thing because I thought Volley Village would be a natural fit for the Switch. You know, I mean, I think the gameplay lends itself well to the device. I mean, especially like a two-player. Yeah, I got it muted. Yes, I got it muted. Good, because I don't want that blaring in your ears. Although I think I actually have the desktop volume dialed down, so it may not happen anyways. But come on, there it goes. So I was. Oh yeah, I did blank my. Oh, stupid! I did kill my character. Okay. So, I thought this would be such a cool fit because you imagine both players with their own devices playing at the same time on the device, right? And I just, I thought this was going to be like a super cool fit, but I'm licensed a Nintendo. I'm licensed to develop for the Wii U and the 3DS, but not yet for the Switch. So I sent this to them to try and get it, and they said, no. They did not like this. They didn't really give specifics. They just said no. So unfortunately, it's not like I could actually come back and make changes to address what they didn't like because they literally did not give me a hint. So unfortunately, I was really hoping that this was going to be like my first Switch title, but ain't gonna happen. But like you said, I did ask someone at Unity Unite that was part of the Nintendo team, and he thought because this does have a mobile look to it, he thought that may have been the possible cause of why they said no. Yeah, Nintendo said no. But he was saying that because they want the Switch to not look like a really pretty mobile device. They want the Switch to look like a console device. And I guess they were fearful that this, smelled too much like mobile. And maybe if I would have souped up the graphics and, maybe if I would have shot for desktop for this version and done prettier graphics and more detail poly and all that kind of stuff, then that might have been a viable option. But then he did say that the guy I spoke to, he didn't know the details. He was just speculating, but he just said, look, if you make the next Angry Birds, then they'll come back and want it, So the point is that if the game becomes a juggernaut hit on mobile, then they're obviously going to be open to it, I mean, there's, and honestly, if you look at the Switch, there are plenty of titles that began life as mobile, right? So I think the idea is that they're not quite thinking it's pretty enough, unless it's a hit, and then it's very pretty. It's beautiful. We love it, We always loved it. We just sent you the wrong email. So, I'm hoping that happens. I would still love to put that. I'd love to put this on the Switch, for sure. Let me see if I can go back online. That was actually a glitch. It should have... Play as guest. There. So then I was doing that. Let's see if I quit. Oh, that's not good. That's interesting. I may have broken something in the save file because I'm logging on as a guest, but it's still losing it and it's acting like it's not there. Uh-oh. Okay, you know what? Oh, I know why. It's acting like it's never saving the file. It's because every time I start the game, it's deleting my profile. I forgot to turn that back off. I did that originally because the alternate player version, I had to clear out the data because in an older build, and the player file was corrupted in comparison to the new version. So I did that, but I forgot to undo that. Oops. Good. It's not a bug. It's just me not paying attention to my own code. Yeah, that's exactly what came to mind. They want to entice people from other consoles to try out the Switch as a portable console and not as lenient towards mobile phone looking games. I really think that his advice was accurate, and yeah, if it's a hit, they'll reconsider it. But at first glance, I think they're trying to keep mobile developers out. Yeah, and you know what? And I'm not gonna get mad because it's when you bring the football, you get to play quarterback, right? And I totally get the idea because they're charging a lot of money. I mean, comparatively speaking, right? I mean, I think it's still selling for $299. And you can get a PS4 now. Thanks to I saw the deal. You can get a PS4 Slim and the Spider-Man game for $199, right? So obviously, a Switch does not really hold a candle to a PS4. So they have to sort of sell the idea that this is just as unique, And in reality, all it is it's not a secret, but it's just an NVIDIA Shield, right? I mean, they just, all it is a souped up version of the NVIDIA Shield tablet with controllers put on the sides of it, It's a little peppier, but, it's not that much more advanced. So I totally get the fact that they're going to do their best to look like a true console and not like a mobile plus device, like a high-end Android, which kind of is what it is to a degree. But yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So once I get the game out, hopefully it gets traction, and then Nintendo comes knocking on my door, kind of going, yeah, about that, no. It's a yes now. Actually, an NVIDIA Shield with Joy-Cons. Yeah. Which, by the way, I had an NVIDIA Shield that bricked itself. It was my favorite tablet, man. That thing was insane fast, but man, it just one day, it just went south, and I spent days trying to resurrect that thing. I did all kinds of stuff. I did the simple stuff initially. None of it brought it back, and it just became a doorstop. But until the day it bricked itself, man, that is a gorgeous piece of hardware. I mean, even to this day, I still think it's probably one of the faster. I don't know. I can't say that now. It's several years old, so I'm sure some of the other Android devices have caught up and surpassed it. But at least back in the day, man, that thing was just stupid fast. Really liked it until it died on me. But yeah, it is. That's all. Switch really is just a NVIDIA Shield with Joy-Cons. Yep. But a nice piece of hardware, man. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was saying that I thought that the Switch had a great future, but I thought they were asking too much money. And I was really concerned that the idea was sound. The portability, right, I thought was genius. But I thought they were asking for too much cash. And, of course, they all sold out in the beginning. And I just kind of went, you know what? I'm happy to be wrong on that one. I'm glad they're blowing it out because that is such a cool idea, you know. That portability, you know, to take it with you and still have that and you plug it in and you get that same kind of level of performance. But, you know, they just don't want me to be part of the team yet. So hopefully I can change that in the future. All right. So where was I at with this guide? Was I pretty much... Yeah, okay, so I was talking about the fact that I may actually have to go back to all my icon poses and make sure that I'm not breaking frame because if you think about it, if I'm going to go with this shield, right, if I'm going to use that as my backdrop, which is pretty cool, I really do like that, then I can't really have it clipped like that. So I have to re-render all these guys. And then, I forgot, then I had this nightmare. Man, why did that break so bad? I guess I could just save my quick render here. It's not as technically accurate as the full-on render, but at least it doesn't look like this with a giant gap in there. Oh, that's nasty. Ugh. Let's see. I'm getting pinged here. Is there anything I needed to worry about? Nope. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Okay, I'm going to let this kind of stew for a second. It's rendering on the fly. Right now it's pretty grainy, so I'm going to let it go a little while longer. Man, because, yeah, look at that. It just tore up through here. And then, of course, it just did this. And jutted out here. I have no idea why it's so radically different. But, you know what? Actually, I'm okay because I'm just gonna... Alright, I just hit save and I have no idea where it saved it to. Temp render. It saved it to here. Let's see. Yeah. There it goes. Okay. So let me save that back to my thumb drive since I'm going to be yanking that out after I finish tonight and take it with me back to LA. While I'm back in LA for my 2 weeks worth of more freelance work. Let me put it under my source. I'm going to put it under renders. New folder. Middle Ages. And this is the Ogre. Oh, and it's misnamed, isn't it? Look at that. It's calling it Kraken. Why is it doing that? Oh, well. Good enough. Alright, I guess I could, since I'm probably not going to be able to get a whole new pose done tonight, so what I could do, where am I at? Oh, yeah, it's 9:30. I was planning on going basically to 10, so what I may do is, let me save that. Let me see if there's, who's bugging me? What is this? Okay. Oh. Alright. I'll worry about that later. Alright, so I'm going to fire up Photoshop. And I'm going to see if I can tweak this. Yeah, so that is beyond Photoshop's help. That would require going back into the modeler and trying to fix that. Let's see. They're releasing a Switch 2.0 next year, or even just a 1.5, because they want to run their current titles better and also try and get some better current gen ports. Yeah, cool. I'd be curious to see what the price is going to be for that. I think at some point they're going to unleash the floodgates. I think they're going to make the kits available to more developers. You know, but I mean, obviously right now they're still skittish about getting that Mobile Plus label. So I don't know when or if that'll actually happen. But so yeah, I'm really curious to see how much they're gonna soup it up, the new Switch, and more importantly, how much they're gonna charge. My guess is, like tradition, they'll probably lower the price of the current Switch, and then maybe like make the new one $299, or maybe start it off at like $350. Did you inquire about their dev kits? Yeah. That's when I submitted Volley Village for consideration for the Switch. That was specifically so I could get access to the dev kit. And rather than actually comment on the game, they simply just said, "There's not a dev kit available for you." So it's like, that was the video game equivalent of "Go away, kid, you bottom me." I guess I could have pursued it, and maybe tried to get clarification on specifically what they didn't like, but it smells like mobile, I think, is enough of a justification to realize that that's not going to happen. But that's fine. I can always circle back. I mean, the reason I was excited about the Switch was the idea that I was going to I would love to debut it on the Switch, and then have the other markets follow suit. Just obviously getting on the Switch, it'd just be tremendous score, but there's nothing wrong with going the other direction, of just getting on mobile and then ending up on the Switch, and then maybe later on, if I can find a good way to monetize it on the PC side, then PC and Mac, and then I'm certified from Microsoft, so I could even talk to them about doing an Xbox version as well. That's horrible. I mean, I know that they allow indie developers to purchase a dev kit, but wow, yeah, that's some rude screening. Well, it's their company. You know what? I'll tell you this. I would, as bad as that sounds, what would really drive me nuts if they said, yeah, okay, fine, you can purchase a dev kit. Oh, but you can't do that game. Wait. Now you tell me that? So that's the silver lining, right? It could have been worse. Buying a dev kit only to find out that they're not going to let me develop the game. That, I really would have lost it. That would have definitely got me peeved. Alright, so let me come back over here. Source, renders, Middle Ages, Ogre. Load this up. Alright, let me see if I could do some... What? Really? Okay, fine. Alright. He's a locked background, so let me just do that. And then let me see what I can do. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a lot quicker than trying to go back and modifying the geometry. I think this is going to go a lot faster for me. So I do this. Let me come over here like that. Just kind of clean this up a little bit. It's a little lighter. Let me try and find something that's going to be closer to that shade. Something like that. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's see, let me zoom out here. It's a little lighter. Okay. I was trying to find something that won't look like the repeated pattern, but you know what? I may need to do that anyways, just because that's going to look a little light and it may stick out worse than a repeating pattern would look. So let me try that. Sneak down here. Undo that. Undo that. Let me see. Come on. This will work. I may do another pass just to get some more in the... But let me just push on and get rid of this to begin with, where that red part of the mouth was cutting through. Oh wow, it does it all the way up there too, doesn't it? I just noticed that. Look at that. Okay, so there's more work than I thought there was. And just do it this way. I'll worry about fixing the grain in a second. I know it's going to look like a repeating tile, but I'll worry about that second. just want to get rid of that red first. Just what I'm clicking on. I haven't created any games, just small time tutorials in the past, but I always like looking at old IP also. Yeah. So are you talking about like just using that as an influence, or are you thinking about the idea of old IPs as in approaching them and getting access to do a new version of it? I'm just curious which one you're... Yeah, I mean, because, I mean, the great things about games, especially some of the older ones, is that, you know, the gameplays were so dynamic and so unique that I think a lot of the old games, there's plenty that I think could be updated with no problem. You know, just, I mean, just doing a graphics update alone, I think, would make a lot of games still pretty cool. I mean, they do that, actually, they do that. They'll take a lot of games nowadays, I guess, and just really not even change the gameplay, but just update the graphics, right? I think that happens kind of frequently. I would, Outcast, I think that was what it's called. I think I just picked one up on GOG. That was just an older one. Maybe acquiring an old IP or getting the rights to just work on one project using it. There's plenty of forgotten games out there. Yeah, I think especially, I mean, if you look at one of those, I mean, there's so many companies that have, you know, fallen to the wayside and just died. I think that's a good way to look at it, you know, but I think the challenge with that, on the other hand, is trying to make sure you find out who actually owns it, because invariably, I mean, I don't know if you've watching the videos for like GOG, where GOG talks about how they acquire some of these old games and try and do updates, and it sounds like they have this massive battle to just figure out who actually truly owns the rights, right? And then they have to make a deal with pretty much anyone that says, oh yeah, we do, right? And then they have to like try and say, look, we can't offer you a lot, but you know, we can offer you something which is better than zero, you know. But I mean, that's got to drive you nuts, you know, when, you know, you just have, you think you're dealing with one person, and they even talk about it in one video where they had like one person. Oh, and then Tetris actually had that too, right? There's that Tetris video where they showed like, okay, well they have rights, but then it was from this company, not that company, and then no, you had it for this market and this device, but not this other device. Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a total nightmare. Team split up, and then nobody knows who really owns it. That's so true. I mean, because if a company goes in receivership, you know, and then, I mean, if someone buys the company out of bankruptcy, do they actually retain the rights? Or is it someone that actually ponied up the cash to fund that company? Do they try and claim the rights? You know, and then I think it just whoever has the better lawyer wins in that case. You know, I don't think there's any true rhyme or reason to that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, in my case, the IP that I'm working with, I was very fortunate to stumble into it. I kind of stumbled into it, but I've also been pursuing it for 3 years now. And the cool thing is that it's not like I'm having to fight anything, because there's never been a game based on it before. So I have the honor of doing that, and the honor of being the first one to make a game based off this IP, but also the horror of making sure that I make something that's worthy of it. And still, and that's always a challenge too, because if you're making something that's off of someone's IP, you have to make them happy. So it's not like you can just land an IP and go, ooh, I'm going to do this and the other. No. You have to make sure that they like the idea too. Otherwise, it just stops dead in its tracks. So you have the balancing act that you have to make a game that you know is going to be fun, that everyone's going to want to play, but also appeases the people that actually gave you permission to make it in the first place. So, bit of a balancing act, but still looking forward to trying it myself here in the very near future. As soon as I get Volley Village out into a beta test form, I will start pursuing that big time. So soon I will be talking all about that kind of junk. So let me try this. Just cleaning up this stuff a bit. One thing you can do also is make a game that was influenced by the IP, and you won't have to worry about legalities. Totally true. I think that obviously works better if you were a participant in the original game development. So, I mean, you know, video game makers do it as well as Hollywood, where they'll, Hollywood will say, from the producer of whatever, And so, yeah, if you have someone, it doesn't even have to be the person that truly created the first game, but just someone that was a major part of it, then they can come up and say that we're making the spiritual successor. Oh shoot, what's this? Chris, the spaceship game, the one that's gotten what $200 million or what an insane amount of money that they've raised over the years. That's a perfect example that it's a spiritual successor. Now, it's not a clone, right? So it's not like he has to pay rights to do that, but it's you can definitely see the influence. So you can do that. Yeah, you can totally do that. But then you also have to be careful and make sure that, that they don't come after you saying that, you're stealing from them. So once again, another balancing act. Like in my case, I say that Volley Village, it's not a spiritual successor in any sense of the word, but it's definitely inspired by Angry Birds and like Battleship and tower defense type games. So, there's definitely some influence in there for sure. All right. So yeah, that was actually a simple, quick cleanup. I may actually tweak this a little bit as well. But doing this in Photoshop was definitely the way to go versus trying to modify the model. All right. I'll give Content Aware Fill a chance at this, but nah, I didn't think it was going to do that right. Yeah, for anyone that says that AI is a solution for stuff, yeah, I present you this. No, it's not always a fix. So, in this case, I'm going to go back to old school do-it-yourself. Let me go. I'll rubber stamp it. Boom. Ooh. Alright, I got to do it from nearby. Really? Oh, I got my opacity. Let me crank that up to 100%. There we go. And do that without hitting the edge. That worked out okay. Oops. Grab from over here somewhere. Ooh. I want this to be darker. Okay, in this case I do want to drop this to 50%. So I can blend that. There we go. And crank it back up to 100 again. Oops, let me get down below here. Close. Almost there. Alright. Maybe borrow some of this and then drop this back to 50% again. Ooh, not 50. Let's drop that to 30. Ooh, oops. Just about there. Let me dial this way down. Like that. Just trying to blend this a little bit. Probably would have been smarter to do this on a separate layer and blend it in, but oh well. Yeah, so that's close, but no. Really? Just lighten this up a little bit. All right. Yep. All right, and I'm gonna maybe tweak this a little bit too. Come in like this. Yeah. Rubber stamp this puppy. Oh, oops. Let me crank that up. And I mean, what I'm doing might be total overkill, because once I actually get him planted onto that icon and on the screen, I mean, it may be like, like this big, So these tweaks I'm doing right now may never register, but just in case, because I am running them at a higher resolution, so in case I do, I guess it's better to just go ahead and do this tweaking now, since I'm here. There we go. Just want that one layer, so I'm gonna just save this as that PNG. Done. And then let me make sure I still got my alpha on this guy. Oh no! Oh man, it hosed me, didn't it? That sucks. So when I did the real-time render, when I saved it, it did not save it with the alpha. It actually embedded it in there like a jerk. So, alright, I'm going to see if I can scrape off the gray cleanly. Ah, crud. Alright, I'm a high enough resolution that, yeah, you're not going to really see the edges. So, I got away with it. That was close, but, yeah. Yeah. Not the perfect pose. I could probably still, I maybe a more dynamic hand, but I think I may just leave it for the time being and just mark this as a CBB. It could be better. And if I have time, I'll revisit Maya, maybe tweak the pose a bit more. Specifically in the hand and that kind of stuff, because I don't want to adjust the head. If I do that, then I got all the stuff I just did on that cleanup, I'd have to actually redo from scratch. So I'm gonna leave that. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna do this as PNG because all my stuff is in this one layer, so I don't care if it discards those other layers. But there you go. Cool. Okay. I guess what I could do, if I want to be lazy here, and I want a simple win here, excuse me, is load up some of my previous scenes, characters, middle ages, and make that camera adjustment that I was just talking about. So we start with the icon poses for the dwarf. Let's save that. I'm sorry, what am I doing? Actually, I don't need to be in Maya for this. I need to be in Lightwave for this. Because these are rendered poses. So I'm going to hit save one more time on him, just in case I change something. I'll save it. Okay. If a solo dev wanted you to create enemies like the Ed 209, for example, do you require payment if there's no guarantee once released that it gets sales? Let's see. To potential royalties. I know that, I know that I'm not. I think, I think the idea of getting someone to work off royalties, you have to find someone that's either independently wealthy and just wants to do it for fun. You have to have a friend that you have incriminating photos of that you can coerce them into doing it for free. Or the better choice is to find someone that's young enough that doesn't have a portfolio. When some of the stuff I showed you in that demo reel, right, I did at a company called Digital Domain. And when I moved out to LA, this would have been in 2000, and I was just trying to get some visual effects work at the time, and I met the right people, but when they introduced me to the people at DD, they completely lowballed me, right? They were just kind of going, yeah, we'll hire him, but we're going to hire him at this rate. And, it was like insanely low. I mean, it was half or less than the rate than the guys sitting around me. But the reason why is because I hadn't proven myself yet, right? They had seen a reel, the equivalent. I didn't go to school for this stuff. I'm all self-taught, but the stuff I did a short film, and that was my calling card. And they could show that, and they say, "Wow, he can do some nice work." But then the question mark is, that's great, but can he do it in a production kind of scenario? So I had to take that job and take the low pay and earn my stripes to prove that I could actually create the content in the time frame they needed. So if you look at like students, that are just starting out, that don't have that production experience yet, then you're going to find some that are more interested. And the catch there too is that because you're doing that, you may find some of them that are not up to the task. They either produce quality that just isn't usable, or they flake. I mean, you don't know, when these kids, if you put them into that scenario, if they're going to step up, which is one reason why, they don't get the pay that the people like me that have been around for a gajillion years get paid, because, they're a question mark, but those are the ones that may be more willing to work on something, that it's sort of like on the back end. But, I mean, I haven't done, any kind of work like that, in decades, just because, I mean, once again, it's a combination of, I have paying jobs, right? So I'm not going to be willing to turn down paying work for something that may pay out later. And also, I have a mortgage, so I got to pay the bills. So unfortunately, I'm not the independently wealthy yet, that I can just afford to just work on spec projects. But I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't find great talent. You just have to find great inexperienced talent, right? That's willing to do that. So if you look on if you look on Unity, I know they have a Connect, I think it's called Unity Connect website that allows you to put stuff out there. I know there's the Indie Gamer forum as well. So there's avenues out there that you can reach people that, and if you can sell them on the idea, I think that's the key thing. If you can sell them on the idea of something and show the potential of the project and really get them enthused to work on it, then that's possible. Not to say that I've never done it. I was showing that video earlier, that 716 video, that short film that my friend Andrew Bowen did. Now, in that case, I did actually help out. Primarily because he's just a gentleman that I've known for, a ton of years, and the project was interesting, and it was something that I could do at my own leisure. It was not one of those things that he was able to make demands and say, you have to make this now, because he knew that I was pitching in, so he had to work around my schedule, but that's more the exception than the rule right there. Excuse me. I mean, that's, that was one, and it was something that I thought was a cool project, and whether or not it actually comes to anything bigger, I don't know. But generally speaking, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to find most people that have been doing it for a ton of years are probably not going to be open to spec work, unfortunately. I mean, it could happen, but it's definitely not an uphill battle for you, for sure. So I hope that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I'm also 33, so I worry about fickle people too. It's hard to find people to stick to something unless you're paying them. Yeah, and that was, excuse me, that was actually something I found out a million years ago as well, because I actually went to school for film. I graduated with a film degree, and what I quickly learned was that you could get a ton of people, especially your fellow film students, to come out and work on a project, right? Initially, but after that first day, and the people realize how much work they have to put into it, and if they're doing it for nothing, then they all tend to scatter. They all tend to disappear. But I found that if you pay them something, then a larger percentage of them will feel more obligated to stick to it. I mean, you're still gonna have people that are flaky. They're gonna disappear, and then they're gonna say that they deserve more or whatever, and they will go away on you. But yeah, I've found from my own sense that paying someone something at least is a better motivator than paying them nothing with the promise of riches to come. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Not many people are totally open to that concept. Excuse me. Awesome. I wrote a few scripts and got a couple shorts produced. I was treated like crap, so I've been in hiatus since 2013. Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about the Switch, we were talking about how the fact that they basically gave me the equivalent of, get out of here, kid, you bother me, right? But if Volley Village, knock on wood, if Volley Village blows up and becomes this massive game, they're going to be sending me email after email going, son, we believe in you. This should be on Switch now, right? Hollywood is the same way, I mean, in film production, Hollywood does absolutely everything in its power to keep you out, right? it will do whatever it can to chase you. But I mean, once you get past that threshold, I mean, it's, like I said, I've been doing animation for 20 years. And my first couple of years, I was desperately scrounging, looking for anything that I could get, as I told you about the digital domain stuff, right? And just to try and prove myself, but over time, I started getting enough work and enough of a reputation and enough friends that it got to the point where I stopped submitting demo reels. I stopped putting out calls because I was getting calls coming to me going, hey, what's your availability? Excuse me. I mean, that still happens, and I'm thrilled that it does. It just, as a matter of fact, I just like 4 or 5 days ago, I got an email from a company that said that a friend of mine had recommended me, and they wanted to talk to me about doing some more animation work for them. So, and I had a conversation, and that may happen. It'd be some freelance work that I would do on the side. So, it's taken me a long time to get to that point, but I mean, it just the me from a couple of decades ago that couldn't get anyone to answer an email or answer a phone call or whatever, right? Is, if he could see into present day me and see that, once you get past that threshold, it gets so much easier. It's comforting. But yeah, man, when you're starting out and everyone blows you off, right? No one gives you the time of day, Okay, there's a fantastic film that illustrates it better than anything, and it's called The Big Picture. It's directed by Christopher Guest, and it stars Kevin Bacon, and it is one of the, it's an older film. It's actually made in the 80s, but it personifies exactly how the Hollywood system is, how messed up it is, and it does everything to shut you down until you're in. And then it does everything to grab hold of you, and tell you how much of a friend it's always been of yours, But you can either be bitter about it, or you could just kind of go, you know what, that's the way the system works, And, for me, I never took it personally. I think in the beginning I would, it's hard not to. But I quickly learned you couldn't take it personally, and I just used it as motivation to try harder, And for me, I was very fortunate, and I met the right people at the right time, and, it all worked out. But, yeah, it is a wacky, wacky place, and, film production is total craziness. But still happy to go back there occasionally. Not for long periods of time, but go back there occasionally and just do my little animation stuff, and then retreat back here home. So, what was I going to... Oh, I was going to load up and start redoing my poses, wasn't I? Characters, Middle Ages. And that's Ogre. So let me load up Dwarf. Icon poses. Start with C. Let's see what I got over here. Yep. Let me load that. I think that's the right one, is it? Nope, that's the wrong one. Let me change. Load image. Let me. Ooh, I don't have the source for that. For sure, I understand Perseverance. One of my scripts had all the dialogue omitted after the director gave me BS about praising the dialogue and getting me to sign the contract. And as a result, the short was a total disaster. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'll give you an anecdote, too, that I remember all so well that I used as sort of like a personal inspiration. I don't know if you know the name Ed Burns, but he made a movie called The Brothers McMullen. So he made this film. He was actually a struggling filmmaker. He was a production assistant at Entertainment Tonight. Excuse me. And then he went off and did his own little film, right? And you might recognize her. She's been in a ton of stuff over the years. Connie Britton, who went on to like Friday Night Lights and all kinds of stuff. So so Ed Burns makes this short film, and it's just an story about some Irish families and the relations between them. And he makes the film he basically borrows money from his parents. He shoots in his parents' house, right? And it's just a bunch of characters talking for, like 90 minutes or however long it was. Yeah, for 98 minutes, right? So he finishes the film, submits it to all these film festivals, and he gets rejected by all of them. And he literally wallpapers his bedroom with all the rejection letters, right? And he puts them all over the walls. And he sort of like scrapes together his last bit of cash, and he decides that he's going to go ahead and take one last stab, and he submits it off to Sundance Film Festival, and which is that's cojones, because he's been rejected by all these other film festivals, right? I mean, literally the walls are lined with all his rejection letters, right? But he's still going to sit there and go for, Sundance, and he gets in, right? Sundance chooses it, screens it, and praises it like crazy, and guess what happens? All those other film festivals start calling him up immediately going, oh my God, your film is so genius. We just discovered it. And he's like, no, you didn't just discover it. I sent it to you before and you guys said it was crap, So he went from persona non grata to like a total genius overnight because one film festival explained it and all the other film festivals just said, oh yeah, we think he's genius too. Which once again, that movie I was referencing, The Big Picture, directed by Christopher Guest. You want to see a movie that completely personifies the insanity that is Hollywood. Definitely try and track that one down. Let me see if I can... I don't even know. I have it... I actually have the film on Laserdisc as well as DVD. Yeah, 1989. Okay, there you go. Christopher Guest, who went on to do those mockumentaries like Best of Show and Waiting for Guffman and all those others. But I have so much love for this movie because I mean it's humorous, but it's so scathing in its telling of what it's actually like in Hollywood. Okay, so I guess on Amazon has it, but you have to like buy it for $4. You can probably find a DVD somewhere, probably a lot cheaper. But anyways, if you want to laugh, if the Hollywood system is definitely messing with you and you want to laugh, dude, The Big Picture. I don't know if you've seen it before, but I mean, Jennifer Jason Leigh, right? I mean, she's what's the new series she's in? Oh shoot, what is it? Atypical. There you go. She's the mom in Atypical. I mean, just an insane cast, right? You have come on, what's her name? Terry Hatcher. I mean, you have like a super young Terry Hatcher in here too. Let's see. There's a pretty young Kevin Bacon as well, right? Oh, there you go. Look at that. There's like what is that? Maybe like a 20-year-old Terry Hatcher, So, but yeah. Just a bunch of famous actors that you'd recognize, but a beautiful telling of the goofy system that is Hollywood. So I would highly recommend that one if you want to laugh. But there you go. That's my thought. All right. Let me see if I can swap this out real quick. It's not that one. I thought that was actually the correct one. Oops. Yeah. That should be correct, unless the UV is different. Oh, maybe I have a different UV on him. Let me try empty mesh. Nope, that's the only UV. But then that is totally messed up. Alright, I gotta do some homework on that. I'm not sure why my pickaxe is not pulling the UV correctly. You know what? Simple solution. Don't deal with them right now. Let me come back to one I know is behaving. Female warrior. Alright, actually bother? Oh, wait, that's cool. I actually did bother to, let me do the camera here. Yeah. So, and this is what I was talking about before, the clipping on the edge here. I definitely want to make that better. So what I do is something like, you know what? Actually, I don't want to do that. I think that's, hopefully that's a, oh, that's an 18. Wow, I was kind of hoping that was not a wide angle lens, but it is. So let me try and cheat this like this. Yeah, I definitely need the whole thing in there, so. Yeah, so this one, unfortunately, because I didn't bother to pose the feet because they're out of frame, kind of a boring pose, so I hate to say it, but this one I have to go back into Maya and modify that feet pose because that's just absolutely boring. I mean, that's literally just the default foot pose there. So I got this nice body pose going on the rest of this, but then that's just wrong. So, okay, so I guess it's not going to be a simple thing either, but I guess what I'll do is I'll save that, and let me make sure that is, I'm saving on my thumb drive. Yes, I am. Good. All right. Excuse me. I'm starting to get a little raspy. So just after 10 o'clock. So I think I'm going to wind down here. But I appreciate you hanging out with me. Let's see. Oh, before I decided to write and submit scripts, a book that inspired me was Rebel Without a Crew by Robert Rodriguez. It's amazing what one book can do. I don't think I'd have anything out there if it weren't for that. Oh, I agree. Okay, not to play devil's advocate, but I got to play devil's advocate on this one. Robert Rodriguez is absolutely a master at pacing and action. I think that's, you know, if you look at El Mariachi, it is amazing the tempo, right? The cutting and the stuff that he does. I mean, of course he shot that with the shoestring, right? I mean, it was just all in that town that he shot it in, right? And it's beautiful, but I mean, I'm sure he talks about it in the book, but you know that the way he did it, excuse me, was that, so he'd shoot with the camera, right? And then he would finish and put the camera down and pull the tape recorder and get them to repeat their lines again. And of course, you know that that audio that they're recording after the fact, after they've done the actual performance, is never going to line up with the actual performance he just filmed on the camera, right? It's just never going to happen, you know. But here's the dirty secret, was the fact that no, it didn't. But he didn't care because that was he didn't have a shotgun mic or anything. No, exactly, he didn't have any equipment for that. But that version, right, with the messed up tape recorder audio that he did that has no level of sync, that is not what Hollywood saw, right? What they saw was a looped version, and also the fact that that language barrier hid the fact that everyone was an amateur, right? There were no hired actors. They were just people that he grabbed off the street, or in the case of the villain, right, that was the one that was his fellow lab rat when they was doing the science experiments, right? You know, so it was, he had the advantage of covering up what is normally the biggest downfall of any short film is the weak performances. You know, I mean, that's always a telltale sign. You can look at a film, you can look at a trailer that has no audio, and you see, it looks like, wow, that looks like an interesting film. But then the first second that an actor or an actress opens up their mouth and delivers that first line, you just kind of go, ooh, oh no, that was bad. And the next person speaks and you go, oh, that was worse, you know, and you just realize that the whole film is going to be that nails on chalkboard, you know, bad, you know. Yes, we should go to the store and investigate that. Yeah, let's go. You know, that kind of just, oh no, this is going to suck, you know, that kind of thing. But he was able to shield that because of that language barrier, you know. Yeah, and then once he was, and then, I mean, but once again, I mean, not to dig on his pacing, because, I mean, the way he edits is insane, you know, and he is so amazingly resourceful. I mean, he is a true inspiration, and I love the fact that he set up his own company, and he makes the movies his way, you know, the Spy Kids and all the other stuff he's done, you know, over the years, you know, and I have total respect for him for that, you know. But, you know, he did have a bit of a leg up, ironically, over English-speaking productions, you know, because of the fact that they weren't able to see what the actors' performances are truly like. But yeah, I think that should be an inspiration. I mean, that's, if you're like debating whether or not to push forward, it's totally possible. But and it's just getting the right person to see it too. I mean, I did not read the book. I've seen some documentaries and stories on it, but I don't know exactly how it got in the right hands. I don't know if it's one of those things that he just handed to a friend who handed another friend, and it floated around Hollywood until it got into the right hands, which is my assumption is how it played out. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic guy to take inspiration from. Absolutely. But having said that, I am now after 10 o'clock, and I got to get up in the morning and catch my flight back to Los Angeles, so I think I will wind down. But thank you once again for hanging out with me, and please come back. I will be back at it. Yeah, thanks for chatting. Thanks for chatting from you as well. I appreciate it. I mean, it definitely makes it much more enjoyable for me to not be just talking to myself. But I'll be back Monday, 8 o'clock, same time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will be back in LA. I will be hanging out at the Blue Screen Gaming in Culver City, where I set up shop, and David is nice enough to let me set up there. So I will be hanging there. So please come back and join me. And until then, hopefully I'll make some more headway. Get that to-do list closer to being out the door. Then I can move on to the next stuff. But yeah, we'll see. But thanks again for joining me. Thanks anyone that watches this video later after the fact. Thanks for giving it a look. Until then, you guys take care, and I will see you guys soon. All right. Adios.